All right, I hope you are still able to see my screen. Please confirm, Maureen.
Yes, we can see. You need to put your slides on presentation mode.
Is it fine now?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so again, I'd like to welcome you all for today's session, which is going to be focusing on the intersection of e-cooking, health and economic development. And we are going to be hearing from change makers who are already working in the sector. And these are women whom we've worked with, we've collaborated with, and have mentored us at some point in our careers. So to begin with, I would like to talk a little bit about the COP convening. So these convenings, we normally do them in collaboration with ACTS, CCAK, Kenya Power, and GAMO East Africa, and we are supported under the MEX program. So this community of e-cooking community of practice, we normally do convenings via WhatsApp group. I know a number of you are in there. At the moment, we are over 431 members, and we welcome more new members to join us. So this WhatsApp group, we bring together stakeholders from the clean cooking sector and the electricity access sector to basically discuss issues around the emerging e-cooking sector and to share various initiatives people are working on, to share insights, and also to foster collaboration. So we welcome people to join, and we are always excited to have new members on board. So before we welcome our panelists for this session today, we also wanted to share some statistics around this topic to set the scene before we start our discussion. So it is important to note that the clean cooking sector has seen some progress over the years, and there's been a reduction of people who are using, there's been a reduction of people who are without access to clean cooking, and this reduction has, we've seen it over a period of over a decade, with 3 billion initially people who were not having access to clean cooking, and now we are at 2.3 billion people who are without access. So these reductions are important to acknowledge, and this is because of the initiatives that each and every one of us are making within our own spaces. And so it is important to acknowledge that there is some sort of progress that we're making as a sector. However, still in sub-Saharan Africa, the access despite the increase in access, there's still some sort of, there's still a number of people who are not having access, and this is over 220 million people. And this is due to the rapid growth of population in Africa that we are all aware of. The population is growing, and the number of people having access are decreasing because there's not much initiatives to be able to reach this number of people that are coming on board. So there's still need for a lot of initiatives to be put in place to ensure that access and we are able to transition as many people as we can. So to bring this home again, in Kenya alone, we have over 81% of population who are still relying on biomass, but we believe that this is going to change with the upcoming launch of the Clean Cooking Transition Strategy. We hope that these numbers will be able to go down by 2028. So we encourage each and everyone through their own initiatives, those who are within the sector, to continue doing the work they're doing to ensure that we transition as many people as we can to the use of clean and modern cooking solutions. So if we look at how this is impacting women's health, in sub-Saharan alone, over 3.7 million people die annually due to household air pollution. And these are mainly women. When you look at these statistics, you realize that over 60% of those people, of the 3.7 million, are women and children. This means that annually we are losing 2.2 million women and children. These numbers are not good. And we hope that even through these kind of platforms, we are going to see the need to continue being gender inclusive in our initiatives. So if we look at Kenya, the recent statistics by the Ministry of Health shows that we have over 21,500 premature deaths annually in Kenya as a result of household air pollution. So apart from the health side of things, we are also going to be discussing about the economics. So how is this impacting women economically? So globally, it is said that over 0.8 trillion, there's a revenue loss of 0.8 trillion that women are losing in terms of productivity. And this is because a number of women are traveling for long hours trying to find firewood for cooking. And in real sense, if we can transition these women to the use of clean, modern cooking solutions, then they will not be spending as much time trying to find firewood for cooking, taking hours looking for firewood. They'll be using this time to do productive activities. So with this kind of statistics, it is very important that we're having this discussion today. And at this juncture, I would not want to also delve so much on the statistics. I would like to give these amazing women who are working in this space, who are trying to ensure that women are included in the decision making and also in the initiatives that they are doing, to share with us how they've been able to do this and how much of impact they've been able to make it with regards to this topic. So I'll let Maureen, my colleague, to introduce the panelists today to take us through this discussion after seeing the numbers that we have here and to see how much effort we need to make to ensure that we involve our women and we are able to transition as many people as we can to clean, modern cooking solutions. So Maureen, would you like to take us through that session? Thank you.
Thanks, Cyprus. So yeah, we are very happy this morning to have women share their insights. And this is a very unique advantage for women leaders in the field of e-cooking to share their first-hand experiences and insights from their activities. So we will hear how the e-cooking initiatives are reshaping individuals and communities, how it's empowering women and driving positive change in our communities. So I want to encourage every one of you to get ready and join us in this journey of discovery, rethinking, learning to unlearn, and also exploring the transformative initiatives that are out here and how they are directly impacting on women. So we have 4 ladies, wonderful ladies this morning, and I would like to give them an opportunity to do a quick introduction of themselves, maybe just your organization, your position, and your interest in the e-cooking sector. So first, I would like to, I can see Rochelle. So Rochelle, you can go first. You're muted.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Hi. Hi, everyone. Good morning or afternoon or whatever you are. Yeah. Thanks, Cyprus and Maureen, to invite me and the rest of the panelists. My name is Rocio. I'm one of the co-founders of Bidasasa. Bidasasa is a last mile distribution company specializing in increasing the access to clean cooking appliances. And we do have some track record on e-cooking, which is what we will be discussing today. Thanks, Maureen.
Thanks, Rocio. So next on my list is Dorothy.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to be here with you. I am Award Dorothy Otieno, the founder and CEO of Nyalore Impact, based in Homa Bay County. We have been working as clean cooking entrepreneurs since 2016, and we are happy to continue contributing to this sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy. We now have Florence Ndeti.
Hi everyone, Florence Ndeti. I work for Catholic Diocese of Kitui, lead the development department of the Catholic Church, Caritas Kitui, and also hosting the Kitui e-cooking hub. Basically, we are promoting e-cooking in Kitui, mostly reaching out to
Am I losing Florence, or it's just my side?
Yes.
No, I think she's hanging.
Yes. You can hear me, Cyprus? Hello?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Audible. Yeah.
So should I repeat?
No, it's okay. I think we had part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Then
yeah,
you
it's
can
okay.
continue.
Maybe we'll switch off the camera and then you have better access. And then finally, we have Joyce Kibe.
Hi, good morning. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me well. Sorry, I am actually in a restaurant and the light is blurring my my camera. But I
No,
think
it's okay.
good for now. Yeah. So my name is Joyce Kibe. I'm the CEO and co-founder at PowerPay Africa. PowerPay Africa is a spin-off company of Green Innovation Ventures Enterprises Limited, GIV Limited in short form, which is an energy and technology company. So at PowerPay Africa, we believe that energy is not an end, but a means to an end. And hence the energy equation is not complete without utilization. So what we do, we digitalize appliances to allow for consumer financing, to allow distributors, lenders, and manufacturers to be able to gain access to carbon credits, and as well to reduce carbon risk, to reduce credit risk for those who are lending. And I am very delighted to be part of the panel. Thank you.
So thank you. And I'd also encourage participants to maybe type in your name and where you're joining us from and or your organization. So our first question to our panelists is, what are some of the initiatives that you have been involved in your organizations, and how has it impacted women? So if we can hear from Rocio.
Yeah. Okay. So from my point of view, okay, my contribution to the sector is very specific. So I run a last mile distribution and consumer finance company. What does that mean in practice? It means that we are bringing the cooking appliances to rural families. So all the way from whoever it is that they are manufacturing, mostly in China. In this case, we are talking about the electric pressure cookers. We bring them all the way from China to the end user in rural areas. So we specialize in serving customers in the rural areas. We have a presence both in Western Kenya and Central Kenya with a few branches here and there. And we physically bring these products to them and we make them more affordable by offering payment plans to all. So my clients, which are obviously overwhelmingly women, usually take anything between 6 to 9 months to pay the appliance, the electric pressure cookers. And we are also working on trying to monetize the carbon emission reductions of the appliances, because as you know, there is very strong or potential impact on carbon emission reductions and potentially a way to subsidize these appliances through carbon finance. So that's really my contribution to the sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we also hear from Florence?
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. For us in Kitui, we began our work on e-cooking with a study in 2017, 2018, when we were supporting the county government to implement or develop an energy master plan. And one of the findings that we were able to affirm is that most of the households, even those connected with the national grid, had not envisioned why they should use electricity for cooking. So immediately after the development of the energy master plan, we embarked into another second study to try to find out why people don't use electricity for cooking. Then that informed the need to promote electric pressure cookers, which we studied with the eCooking champions, who were supplied with the varied e-cooking appliances. And then after that study, we documented easy to read a brochure to use it for advocacy and sensitization to those connected to the national grid on the importance of using the e-cooking as compared to other appliances. And currently we've structured to enhance promotion of those use of e-cooking at household level, especially those connected to the national grid. Thank you.
Thank you, Florence. I think I'm privileged to have come to your center. So yeah, sorry, not Florence. So we have Joyce. Could you please share your the kind of initiatives you are doing in the e-cooking sector and how you're impacting on women?
Yeah, I think for us, one of the greatest impacts that we have is the fact that we are moving women, whether they are in urban, peri-urban, or in rural areas, from using dirty fuels to clean fuels. We have ran a pilot with Kenya Power for the last 1 year that saw us have sensitized women. So we would run initiatives with Kenya Power in different parts of the country. And we managed to target about 53% of those were men, 47% of our attendants were women. But what we realized is about 82% of the people who have been buying these e-cooking appliances are women. So the final decision of buying e-cooking appliances or any appliances in the home that has to do with the kitchen really depends on the woman. So for us, being able to move women from using dirty fuels to clean fuels, but more than that, we are creating jobs. We are working with women. We are working with women distributors. We are working with sales agents as well in different parts of the country where we have done sensitization. And then they're able to make a livelihood out of it. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Joyce. Finally, Dorothy.
Yes, thank you very much. I think, like most of us, Nyalore Impact is also implementing training programs as we work with the rural local communities, raising awareness about the advantages of adopting clean cooking methods, and also telling them about the disadvantages of relying on the traditional cooking methods that they have been used to over the years. And we are also bringing affordability to rural household or low-income households by partnering with a financial institution to make sure that women who are mainly working in groups or coming together in groups to empower themselves economically are also able to use these channels to acquire clean cooking products. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dorothy. So my next question is, what are some of the implications, health implications of household cooking solutions choice on women, and how has the e-cooking addressed some of these health concerns? I don't know if I can start with Florence.
Okay, thank you for this. I begin by saying that traditionally in our areas, cooking is a women agenda and an extension to children. Looking at different reports, it's over 80% of our communities use firewood, and this involves again women who take a lot of time to collect firewood, and also children. The kitchen is definitely where most of them have adopted the 3-stone cook stove, which of course emits a lot of smoke, which in the end increases chances of acquiring respiratory tract diseases. And the worst part of it is that most of those diseases are normally, nobody is doing research on them to quantify the numbers in terms of who is affected, to what extent, and that information is almost missing, because I feel we need to be a bit hands-on in terms of the effects, not to generalize, but give a figure that is near representation of the people. So basically, that is a huge part of it, inhaling those soot while cooking. And again, our cultural, by culture, in the evening, which is mostly the cooking time, people come together in the kitchen, bringing mostly the women and the children, and as they cook, they also inhale the smoke. So that is one of the biggest challenges of using the 3-stone, or actually biomass in cooking. Looking at the work that we've done, we are seeing change of attitude, but there's need for change of, or a lot of lobbying, advocacy to enhance behavior change and to enhance adoption. Because what we've learned is you cannot move an household directly from 3-stone to e-cooking. It is a lot of low uptake, especially if you remember, we did the last mile connectivity in Kenya, and it went to most of the rural households. And you realize again the fittings, those who are meant for cooking were disconnected. Most of the households that are connected on lighting only, and not the sockets. At some point they missed, or at some point people didn't see how they can use electricity. So a lot needs to be done around that as we promote e-cooking. Over to you.
Thanks, Florence. I would like to open this to any of the panelists to add to what Florence has pointed out. Anyone with additions to that or different perspective from your organization? Joyce?
Yeah, I think
we are losing you, Joyce. Maybe if you can switch off your camera to... Can come again, can... Yes, come again.
You can hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I think for us, one of the things that I have noticed, and one of the things that the women that we're working with have been, really happy about, is the fact that now they don't have, there's the issue of the crying eyes that you find in a lot of women and a lot of children. So for us, we are very happy to, to be able to get rid of that problem, because with electric cooking appliances, especially what we have been selling, which is the pressure cooker, has 0 emissions. So we are very happy that we don't for the people who have been using that, they've been telling us, this is really good for us. They can see changes among themselves, in the family, the children. The children as well, don't get affected when they go to school and they have issues, having the eyes crying because of the smoke. Yeah.
Thanks, Joyce. Rosa, do you have anything to add to this question?
Yeah, I think, well, I really know. I don't have anything to add, because obviously I'm not a researcher and run a commercial enterprise, but I do know that there are quite a few, maybe not enough, universities and research outfits looking at obviously the health impact of not clean cooking and how to transition to clean cooking. We have worked with, John is probably in the audience, working with the University of Loughborough We have worked with University of Liverpool and so on, and local universities as well. So it's probably I'm not the right person to talk about health impacts of transitioning to e-cooking, but there is a lot of literature out there. My problem with all of this is that it's all very theoretical. We do know that obviously when you stop using biomass at home, there is direct impact on the health of everyone in the household. Why are we even talking about this, right? Don't we have to talk about how we can accelerate access to e-cooking? So that's first thing. The second thing, I don't, there is this leap of faith of just because the user potentially has access to a new appliance, it doesn't mean that they are going to use it, right? So the famous reduction of indoor air pollution, I still don't have any evidence, right? Just because I'm selling electric pressure cookers, that doesn't mean that people are going to stop using the old appliance, which is usually based on biomass, and that's the one causing the indoor air pollution. So, and I would like to see some research on that one, right? The real displacement of biomass use, right, with data, rather than what we are talking here, which is the potential of these new appliances may have on people's health. And I believe the University of Liverpool, in a consortium with other people, or the universities, they have this massive clean air program. They've been doing research for, I don't know how many, several years, right? Because we did participate maybe 2 years ago with surveys and so forth. So yeah, when it comes to research, I think the experts should be doing it, and I'm really keen to hear from the researchers what is the real displacement of pollution when we give access, or we accelerate, or we ease the access to these clean cooking appliances. And I'm waiting for the papers to be published, and I'm sure they will be published at some point very soon. Thank you.
Thank you for challenging the researchers. Yes, you've had that. You need to pull up your socks. So yeah, Dorothy, do you have any contributions to that?
Yeah, Rocio is very right. The researchers have to prove this to us. But one thing I believe that even as we accelerate the uptake of e-cooking appliances, I have been to meetings where women have been blamed for destruction of forests and natural resources because they are looking for firewood to go and cook for their families and all this. But one thing I know is that the more households adopt the e-cooking appliances and they use them to cook, then we will be contributing to reduction of the destruction of forests and promoting environment sustainability, and also saving women that time of working 10 hours looking for firewood, and children missing so many hours from school. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dorothy. I think interesting discussions there. And in the chat box, I've seen one question that the commercial banks are sharing information on green financing opportunities at the moment. Has any one of you benefited from it, either to build or run or scale up your businesses? Joyce, have you benefited from any commercial bank? So this can be answered by Joyce and Rocio, and also Dorothy.
Yes, KCB and APSA, but this is short-term facilities. But we have a conversation that is ongoing currently with APSA. Yeah, well, I can say we have, yeah, but not long-term, yeah.
Thank you, Joyce. Rocio?
For EPCs funding, at the moment, RBF's results-based finance, that's the most, the flavor of the month is there is a flurry of results-based finance mechanisms. popping up linked to EPCs or induction stoves, anything to do with eCooking. So yes, we are in a few of those. They come and go, right? So those are, sometimes they are 9 months long, sometimes they are 12 months long, sometimes there's nothing around. So we do that RBF. Otherwise, specifically for eCooking, we don't have anyone yet backing up us on the lending side to buy the inventory, right? Because as I sell my appliances on credit, the same as Joyce, and the same as Dorothy, I think everybody here is in the same boat. We need to borrow from somebody to be able to manage our cash flows, which are a nightmare, and invest the money in the inventory, because without inventory, all of this is wishful thinking. So, and we're all struggling. I think Joyce, Dorothy, and I are not competing for the same customer, because the needs of the customer, or the pool of customers, is gigantic, but we are definitely competing from the same funders, right? And we know, right? And I think that's very sad that we, three relatively small companies with very tiny footprint in a massive problem, are competing for scraps of pots of money from a few commercial banks, impact investors, and donors, right? And I think those are the three categories that I'm aware of. We have not ever been successful to borrow from commercial banks. That's at least my experience. We've been able to borrow from impact investors, but they are not yet conversant with eCooking. They are still watching and they are still looking, and they are still a bit stuck with the usual biomass efficient stoves. Obviously, LPG, nobody touches it because it's evil, and therefore we are doing a lot of education on eCooking, talking to the usual lenders in the impact space, telling them that eCooking is the future. But I haven't seen many deals, or I haven't seen 0 deals so far in my little corner of the world. I'll stop there.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Yeah, so we have also benefited from a grant from NEXT itself. But I just wanted to clarify, for us, we did a B2C pilot, but we are actually B2B. So Rocio is my customer. We are not competing for the same customer. So we are focused on digitalizing appliances for distributors, lenders, and manufacturers. But I do agree with what she's saying. In terms of competing for the same grants, for the same RBF, so the same finances. I do agree with her. Yeah.
Thank you. I think I would say that the world is changing. Like 5 years ago, you couldn't hear any commercial bank willing to lend money to these startups. It was very hard. I was involved in some of the business model designing and trying to venture into, in fact, we started with microfinance, but they were not willing at all at that time. But now we have, like, they're showing interest in giving you money. Probably there is a lot of change in also the way the markets are operating. So I think there is a better future. Okay, so my next question would be, what are the social economic challenges that are associated with traditional cooking? How have these challenges affected women? So maybe we can hear from Florence.
Thank you for that question. Sorry, some noise there. One of the things that I can say is part of the socio-economic challenges is a cultural setup. In our setup, we are working closely with women in urban areas, because those are well connected, and also in the rural areas. And one of the observations that we've been able to make, the appliances that we are giving at a subsidized price, the women-headed households have been most biased as opposed to men-headed households, because where women are, the women-headed, they are able to make decisions on what they want. And the second thing, they are able to procure their appliances as is. Unlike in a cultural setup where man-headed household, the woman has to go and explain the case to the man to be able to be given the opportunity to maybe procure, or the opportunity, or also resources to procure the appliances, because basically the initial cost is a bit high. And this has also takes us to the next challenge, other than cultural setup. The fact that culturally women are the ones who are responsible for cooking, and most of the resources are owned or controlled by men who are not really directly affected by the soot and everything on those emissions. It becomes really a challenge, because most of the women say, I have the interest, but I have to convince my husband to allow me to procure these appliances. The other challenge economically is the myth. It's actually a myth around use of electricity for cooking. Mostly people have been saying it is very expensive to use electricity for cooking. But after a lot of sensitization, a lot of narrative and doing demonstrations for people to prove it is not expensive, that is now taking some positive direction towards most women getting interested into buying the appliances. The other challenge, which is social, is lack of awareness, like you've just explained. Some years back, even just recently, 2019, 2018 backwards, there was no discussion, not amplified discussion as is today, on why it is important to use e-cooking, and showing the importance of transitioning from the other options to e-cooking. But now the awareness has come. It is limited, of course. We have to make a lot of effort to make sure that we sensitize our people and also promote these in institutions, because those institutions, for example, in schools, the teachers are role models. Those in institutions like learning institutions, the colleges, those are institutions that are opportunity for us to change the mindset on how we can transition from biomass to e-cooking. And then the other challenge is about the appliances cost, initial cost. It's a bit high for most of the people. I think Rocio has indicated that in their area they have adopted a system on how to pay for quite some time. What she's calling the payment plan that we don't have. Initially, we thought the savings and lending schemes within most of the women groups that we work with could work. But there's it's very slow, because there are so many other options and challenges at the lower levels. And the other challenge is about availability of firewood in most of our area, because we are in rural areas. When you compare, and this also takes us to layering of appliances. You have an EPC, you can easily access charcoal, you can easily get firewood. So you realize that they use the e-cooking appliance, those who have, based on some events. Maybe like you have visitors, you want to use the appliance. But once the visitors are off, you go back to your normal way of doing things. So that layering, we have to deal with it to make sure that challenge is addressed. The other challenge that we faced since we started, we had appliances which have had issues. And for them to be addressed, we have to collect them, take them to Nairobi for repairs, and bring back to Kitui, which is quite a distance from Nairobi. And also once we submit them, they take a bit of time. So lack of spare parts and repairs within our area is really a challenge that we must think about how to address it so that we can guarantee our people, if your appliance has an issue, it may take 1 or 2 days. Then the other thing is on market barriers, because if we don't have it at subsidized price, where we can refer our clients is the supermarkets. And within the supermarkets, the price is a bit high, and then you realize it is not very friendly because there's no one to explain to you how it works, how effective it is, and all that. So that makes it a bit complex, because as we promote, we also need to take them to the lower levels. Like in Kitui County, we only have Kitui Town where we have the supermarkets. Within the other markets, and possibly Mwingi. Within the other, even Mwingi, we don't have a supermarket stocking the eCooking appliances. So that bit of moving for kilometers and kilometers to go and buy an appliance, people would opt for those other options within their reach. I think I stop there.
That's very comprehensive, Florence. Thank you. Do we have any additions from the panelists? Joy?
Yeah, so I think, so I would like to add that with the study that we did after running the pilot, we managed to collect data, and one of the findings was that about 65% of the people who bought these clean cooking appliances, the pressure cookers, confirmed that they had been able to save between 38 to 40 minutes of cooking every day, which is a very for me, is a very huge economic benefit, because we know time is money. So women can be able to do other things rather than just spend all their time in the kitchen. About 78% of them as well confirmed that they were able to save cost. And then they were able to see this because we have this IoT that we had installed in these appliances that is able to monitor time energy consumption. So we were able to confirm that they are able to save save money on the energy that they had consumed when they were cooking. And then I think on the social benefit is the fact that women can now be able to spend more time with their families. They can be able to do other activities around the house rather than just spend the whole time in the kitchen. They can interact with visitors very well. They can leave their dishes cooking and then go and sit down with their visitors rather than have myself, I have experienced it myself. Rather than have to just, stay in the kitchen and cook when I have visitors, I can go sit down with them and engage with them and, wait for my dish to be ready. And when it's ready, I can serve. So I think for me, that's it. The time and the cost of, the money that is spent when we are cooking in terms of energy consumption. And then as well, just women being able to have time to do other things other than just cook. Yeah.
Thank you, Joyce. Do we have additions from Dorothy?
Maybe just to add that since e-cooking reduces the emissions, I think it is also economically beneficial to women if they are spending less on medication, or they're spending less time visiting hospitals. I think that is a big saving in terms of health issues for the women also. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy. So on that note, I'd like to ask my other question. Do you have gendered barriers to adapting e-cooking, and what are you doing about it, or how are you reacting to that? I don't know who wants to go first on that. Joyce, since your camera is on.
Okay. I think for us, we are really focused on sensitization. With what we have done in the past, we really do focus on having marketing materials and messaging that is focused on women, and messages that women can relate to. Like when you have marketing materials that is showing a way.
I think we're losing you, Joyce. Florence, do you have any contributions to that?
Okay, thank you. The contribution that I can say we are doing is to address the gendered barriers. In our case, we've trained men who are e-cooking champions. And every time we are having a demonstration, they are with us. Even some of them are staff. Because when they speak about it and they show it is possible, I think it is an easy way to influence thinking and appreciate the importance. And given that e-cooking itself has a pride in it, you are clean, everything looks smart, you are not smoking, and men need that environment. So we've adopted the use of both men and women as e-cooking champions. We are also inviting more men in our forums intentionally because we know mostly they have the resources. If they choose to buy for the women, it is done. But for the women, they have to appreciate it. They have to go and negotiate to buy it, except where we have women-headed households who are making the decisions there and then, and they are able to buy their clients. And then the other thing that we are doing, it's discussing how costly it is when we have the elements that one of our panelists has spoken about, especially with the men. Because if you don't buy the appliance and our women keep doing the cooking with biogas, they inhale, then they get sick. Who pays the bills? In most cases, it is the men. Because so that narrative is also driving the men towards appreciating that they need the women to be healthier by eliminating those elements that come with biomass cooking. Thank you.
Thank you, Florence. Dorothy, do you have any additions to that?
Yes, I think one of the biggest barrier to most women is affordability. And one thing that we are doing is we are providing different payment methods to the women. We have the lipa pole pole as we keep the product for those women who feel they don't want to go to the financial institutions to access it through the bank because there will be some interest added. So we provide them with a lipa pole pole model where we keep the product and they pay in installments. When they finish, we give them back. Then, of course, we also have the institution paying for them, and then they can pay the institution in installments. So we are also trying to encourage women in their merry-go-rounds or their groups to look at how they can also contribute money to purchase for each member within the group. So in a circle, if there are 12 women, for example, they can all have acquired the product within 1 year. So we are trying actually so much to see how we can make the appliance affordable to women through different payment methods. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy. Do we have any additions from Joyce? You went off at some point, so sorry for that. Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I was just talking about, for us, we are really focused on messaging that is directly, women can relate to. But apart from that, working with women distribution, sort of like we are working with chamas, we are working with, just like Dorothy said, we are working with table banking groups. We are working with Mama Doing Good to be able to distribute e-cooking appliances in different parts of the country. We are working with cooperatives as well and circles that have women in them. And then, yeah, so, and we are working also with women-led organizations. They are there. I saw someone talking about their local appliances. They are there. we have actually a partner that is a manufacturer that is local, a company that is led by a woman as well, that we are working together with. Yeah, so that is our main focus.
Thanks for that. So my next question would be, have women had the opportunity to engage in entrepreneurship or in any income generating activity through the eCooking initiatives? Do we have women who are taking a lead in Kitui, Florence, or in Homa Bay?
Yes, but the women that who have taken up this approach for include actually I know of one lady who had a small hotel business where she was using these other appliances, but when she bought the eCooking, it has become the interest of everybody, because our area of operation is off town, of course connected with the national grid, and the hotel all of a sudden has become clean and everybody is associating with the pressure cooker. So that is the only champion who is using the electric pressure cooker for hotel operations. The rest of those who have are using them at household level. I have not heard of anyone who is supplying the appliances within Kitui. Over to you.
Dorothy?
Yes, women are actually coming in very strongly as champions, eCooking champions, income generating, starting their own income generating activities using the pressure cooker. And we are really focused on training women to be able to cascade the information about eCooking. And one thing that we are also encouraging among the women, especially those that are connected to the grid, is to support the off-grid women in their locations, because we are in a rural area. So we are encouraging women if they buy an EPC, then they can start cooking for their neighbors at a small fee. So this way you are encouraging and supporting those off-grid women, but at the same time you're making some little money out of the product that you bought. So it becomes both a way of promoting eCooking and also bringing benefit to more community and also earning income for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy. And from Bidda Sasa, do we have any comment on that? Rocio.
Yeah, okay. So I think like in any new market, there are opportunities for both men and women in the entire supply chain. It is pretty obvious that having a sales force, people on the front lines doing the demonstrations to peers, right? Peer-to-peer marketing always works better than non-peer-to-peer marketing. So it's pretty obvious, right? But I do like Florence's approach where she's saying it's not just about women's thing, right? And this is, I'm on Florence's side here. We're talking about gender barriers and so forth, but I think the gender barriers is the other way around. Why are not the men doing more the cooking, right? That is where the gender barrier is. And we do have anecdotal evidence that when our clients buy clean cooking appliances from us, which could be electric pressure cookers or LPG, which is very easy to use, as it happens, gender dynamics at home changes. And the men are more involved in the household chores because cooking is not a chore anymore. It's even pleasant and it's even enjoyable. And the electric pressure cooker has this benefit that you can switch it on and leave, and you don't have to be kitchen bound for the next 30, 40 minutes stirring the pot. So I think the narrative, we should start talking about access to clean cooking to all. I know that women are the one doing 99% of the cooking, but that should change, right? And should be 50-50, because after all, we all eat, and the chores at home should be shared. Because I don't believe a thing that those women doing the cooking, they're also doing the working, right? So it's not as if they are homebound doing absolutely nothing the rest of the day. They are also hardworking people. So I do like the fact that Florence is talking about engaging with men doing the demonstrations. In my particular organization, we have an internal rule of hiring 60% women, 40% men. Those are my sales agents, and they are the ones doing the creating awareness. We always have a bias towards hiring more women than men because we are serving mostly women, but we are not shying away from male colleagues doing demonstrations in community hall, in our church or school, and convincing both men and women that showing, not even convincing really, showing that moving to e-cooking is the wise way of cooking. So I do like that approach, and I think we should be talking about more inclusive roles when it comes to cooking, and that would help with the problem of how to unlock the finance, right? Because it's true, if the the home economics is all around, both the man and the woman in the household need to decide where the money is going to go, and one of them is not convinced that this is a worthwhile investment, and then we have a problem, right? I do like Florence's approach, but yeah, I think pretty much we are all in consensus here on what the barriers and opportunities are, to be honest. And I think one of the big myths that we need to unravel is the cost of cooking with electricity. There is plenty of research papers that show that, especially for long-term or long-lasting dishes, those ones that normally take a few hours, the beans and the meat, cooking with electricity, even in Kenya, is cheaper than cooking with any other fuel. And this is one of the main marketing messages that all of us are using when we're doing these demonstrations. That comes first, even before health, right? Let's be clear that people are really motivated when you can prove that the appliance that you are investing in will save you money and time. So usually money comes first, second time, and third health. That's how customers will digest the new information that you are telling them. One big question mark around the opportunities for women in the supply chain is the after sales, the repairs, right? That is, we are still not by any means well equipped to deal with the potential flow of repairs once EPCs are a common appliance in everybody's homes, right? It's not only the parts, right, but it's the technical skills. And this is when I get really angry when I go and interview people on technical skills and all the candidates are male, right? That's something that needs to change. And I don't understand why we shouldn't be also promoting technical skills among young women that want to be technicians, right? And electricians and that kind of skills that are badly needed. And I don't know who to work with on those ones, right? I think Dorothy and I have talked about this in the past, how we can join forces. And I think Dorothy has done a lot more than I have, but after sales is a big black hole at the moment that has not been solved. And that's where we should be focusing our efforts to include both men and women.
Thank you so much. I think on that, we have Ramogi Institute in Kisumu, who are currently dismantling an EPC and trying to train technicians from their region And I think there's also an institution in Makueni who are also trying to come up with a model on that, so that we have technicians who are able to handle electric pressure cookers, the technical part of it. So yeah, we'll hope to connect with you when we have this training, so that they can, maybe you can pick a few of your people to participate on that. And also, the last question would be, what are the recommendations for policymakers or the sector players that you have to help you accelerate this e-cooking adoption through a gender lens? I'm still very keen on being gender biased or gender based when answering your queries. So who wants to go first?
I can go.
Joyce, yes.
Yes. Yeah. So one of the recommendations that we would like to make as an organization, as PowerPay, is for the government agencies to be very active on consumer awareness and education, and as well focused on men and women. And as we have seen in our research that even with a lot of focus on men, women still end up buying, being the final decision makers. So I believe it is very, very important to, for the government to be able, because we realize that if it were not for the fact that we did the sensitization, some of the devices that we were selling would not have been bought. So a lot of people do not know that these devices exist. And unless we go there to the ground and talk to them about it, and then there's always this stereotype of, using electricity is expensive. So then we go there with the meters, we show them, when we cook rice, when we cook meat, when we cook githeri, this is how much we spend. We always, and we have this slogan in the organization, and we say that cooking is believing. So the moment you cook, the moment you do a demo, and they can see how much they are using, and then you'd ask them to compare that with what they use on a daily basis to probably buy charcoal or buy firewood or kerosene or whatever they're using to cook. Then they can be able to do that comparative analysis and see that really cooking with electricity is very efficient. So yeah, so for the government agencies to really, really, invest in consumer education and awareness, if we are to move to that very ambitious goal of having about, of universal access to clean cooking by 2030, as the Kenyan government is focused on. And then capital for women entrepreneurs. There are so many women out there. And as Rocio was saying, actually getting money from commercial banks is not easy. And I wanted to mention that the only reason why commercial banks will give you money is because they know your business. They have seen your cash flows, and they have seen the potential. So there could be a plan to have, green finance. There are even banks and, commercial institutions that have a focus on women and on green finance. But until they know your business, the criteria is usually very, I would say, biased. So a lot of women out there have great ideas. They probably even have already analyzed and surveyed their market, but they can't access financing. So for the private sector, financial institutions availing this capital, because I can tell you the uptake and the adoption, the potential for it is high. Being able to market to people, and about, there's an uptake of about 53%. That's a really high uptake. So the potential for clean cooking appliances, for adoption of clean cooking appliances is there. So we should be able to support women entrepreneurs with capital. And as well, to work with the government. I was in a meeting last week with, with some players in the market, and they were talking about there's no data that is available. Monitoring is an issue. So that is something that also we need to probably even have a budget for being able to monitor energy consumption and having that data relate to the relevant, partners and players in the sector. So yeah, that would be it for me. And as well, just, because this data will help us keep track of how many women and men are adopting clean cooking. So unless we have the data, and data that is verifiable, then we cannot be able to track these numbers. And for us, that is what we are really focused on, putting these devices in these appliances that can be able to monitor the energy consumption. They can be able to tell us where energy is being used, where clean these appliances are being used. So yeah, I believe that is as well very important. And I would recommend that the government is, I know there's a lot, there's a lot that is happening in terms of strategies that are being carried out by different government corporations. But I feel like, yeah, we really do need to focus on educating the community, women and men, we do need to focus on educating them on clean cooking.
Thanks, Joyce. Quickly to Florence. I know at Caritas you've contributed so much on the energy master plan, and now you have more research-based arguments into it, and you've understood the system. So can we hear from you?
Okay, thank you. To add on what Joyce has said, one of the things recommendation that I can make is for the actors to continue doing awareness, first with the policymakers. One of the designs of the revolution is that the change of leadership, especially the political class, who are the county assembly, who are the policymakers. When we are doing the master plan, we had another set. Fortunately or unfortunately, they all left the assembly. We have a new set. Actually, 3 came back, and they need to first understand and adopt this as important. And so that as they do their policies, they can also consider on how to promote this. We know their influencers, once they own it up and they speak to their constituents, it's most likely that the discussion on e-cooking could be more adopted and enhanced. The other thing that I think needs to be done together with policymakers is to undertake county-specific studies or research to inform the policymakers on how is the state on the ground. Because without facts, we might not convince the policymakers on why we need to continue having this discussion, why they need at some point to have budgets that need to procure these appliances and make them maybe for some of the women so that they can even do business as part of women economic empowerment within the counties. So we need county-specific studies and research to be used by the policymakers to be able to influence on how we move or we continue advocating for clean cooking. Within that research, maybe we'll be able to say what is working, what ought to be changed on how systems are as is now, by who, and by using more technology. Like I said in the beginning, it is most of the households which were connected to the national grid are on lighting alone. And for anybody to change or do the wiring to have the sockets and everything on board, it requires a bold decision. So we need also to advocate and also advance to the level where we need to make the households more compliant to be able to use the e-cooking. Again, transitioning from the 3-cook stove to electricity is like a dream. So we need to also pair EPC advocacy with other intermediary appliances so that we transition our people, not like a miracle, but progressively to where they want to go. Of course, marking that we need those champions at lower levels so that they can continue speaking about e-cooking as important as it is. Then promote practical solutions. The prices are huge. The issue of repairs and is a challenge that also needs to be brought into the attention of the policymakers, so that even part of this support that they can give to the youth is to sponsor the youth to some of these tailored skill development, so that the government also contributes to this. And if we have many people having the capacity to repair,
I think I'm losing Florence.
Yes, I'm using my phone internet and somebody has just called. So I may stop there as part of my contribution to this discussion.
Thanks, Florence. Yeah, there are just common stuff that needs to be worked on there, the cost of appliances, repairs, capacity building. Rosha, do you have any additions to Joyce and Florence's contributions?
No, I don't think so. I think everything has been covered. I think we're all in agreement in terms of what needs to change and where we are, each of us contributing towards, right? My top of the list from my point of view would be increasing the access to the grid, right? Kenya is a good example of work that has been done in the last 10 years in terms of expanding the grid everywhere, even in rural areas. But we're still not yet there, right? Statistically, I think, what was the latest number? 70% of population in Kenya do have access to the grid. 50% probably more likely in rural areas. So that means 1 in 2 families do not have access to the grid in rural areas. And guess where people mostly live? In rural areas, right? So I think there is work that needs to be done there. I'm really glad that the government has these high-level targets by 2028, I think. But it's a bit of a chicken and egg because even I remember this was many years ago, in a demonstration showing how the EPC works, blah, 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 blah. And then this lady says, now I have an excuse to ask for connection to the grid, right? Because if you have your solar home system at home that works and gives you your lights and your 4 charging needs, why would you even be connected to the grid, right? So it's a bit of a chicken and egg problem here with underutilization of the grid because there's not enough demand, and then KPLC having problems and dilemmas about if we expand the grid, it's going to cost a fortune and nobody's going to use electricity. And then all Kenya and the neighboring countries are producing too much electricity that nobody's using. So we do have a problem here of how to break the vicious circle of too much electricity being produced, nobody uses it. And my clients saying, why would I even connect to the grid, right? If I have a solar home system. So I think the EPC is a beautiful example of a energy efficient appliance that can unlock that demand to a certain extent, because after all, it's efficient appliance. And I believe there is a lot of work being done in terms of raising awareness, efficiency, But if I had a magic wand, I would just want to see good connections, good installations in people's homes, so people can transition to eCooking smoothly. Because the connection at home is not necessarily well done. Sometimes it's pirated, sometimes it's homemade, and who knows what can happen, right? These appliances are 1,000 watts, right? It's not the same as a few watts for a solar home system. So there is some technical barriers that I need to overcome at household level, and we are not yet there.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Agan, I've seen your hand and questions. Cyprus is trying to answer some of them on the chat. I'll give you a chance when we are at the end. So Dorothy, do you have any recommendations?
Yes, I just want to add what everyone has said about awareness creation. And we are calling upon the government to help do this, because that figure of 21,500 premature deaths, these are mostly women deaths. And we are talking about the rural community that is dependent on biomass cooking. So these are normally people who have not gone to school to learn. The government put in so much money and effort in communicating and educating the communities about HIV/AIDS. And we are told here, the smoke emission in clean cooking is killing more than HIV, cancer, and malaria combined. Why can the government go ahead and localize this communication into the different vernacular languages and put them on billboards where local women can read about this and understand? Because a lot of effort is being put on radio and TV. How many of those local women are watching TV, for example? I think it would be more beneficial if this could be localized into vernacular languages, and the same strategies that were used to educate and to bring issues and how to prevent AIDS was done by the government, which was very, very effective. And to date, everyone knows how to prevent getting AIDS and all this. So I think the government can really go a long way to support us in this. And then many households, like we have also said, are connected to the grid. But when you go to the kitchen, the woman only has the bulb to light and no sockets. How can the government bring in policies to the constructors and all these people who are constructing and give them a standard of a kitchen, how it's supposed to look like, what are the sockets, how many sockets, so that it opens up doors for women to use electricity to cook. We also have these landlords who have put are they circuit breakers or what? Any minute you try to put a kettle or an EPC, it just blows off and you cannot cook. So there are so many challenges and issues that are preventing women from benefiting from cooking with electricity, yet they are connected to the electricity. I think those concerns can help us to lobby this with the government and bring it to their attention. Thank you.
Wow, thanks so much, Dorothy, for your contribution. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Florence. Your insights have been very helpful. And I know most of us have learned a lot. I know we are going to do a report on this, and your recommendations will be heard by the necessary ministries, the necessary partners that we are working together in this e-cooking sector. And I would like to give this opportunity back to Cyprus. I don't know if we have very specific questions that have not been answered. Probably Dr. Agan, if you're still here, you could be the first one to just say a little. And if you have a question, be very direct because we are way beyond our time schedule. So Dr. Agan is not here, Cyprus. Do we have any specific question that has not been answered? Fantas can come in.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maureen. Yeah, I'm Engineer Fantas Kamoro from LELEC. We are the government agency responsible for promotion of grid power and also renewable energy. There's a comment which was made about the issue of using the electricity or renewable energy for e-cooking. Like there's a fear not to use if you're having a solar system, you cannot do e-cooking, you have to be connected to the grid. I want to remove that notion because currently LELEC is doing research together with other members, other European Union, on using solar PV for e-cooking. So the issue of whether you have to be connected to the grid should not arise because we are working forward to make sure and the test results are good that you'll be able to use even renewable energy for e-cooking. That's what I wanted to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you, Evantas. So, Cyprus.
Yes, thank you, ladies, and also the gentlemen who have contributed to this discussion. It's been indeed a very insightful discussion, very interesting. I was immersed into the discussion. At some point, I forgot that I needed to take some key messaging. But yeah, I think it's very evident from this discussion that transitioning has so many moving parts. It's not just one way of doing things. There's the financial aspects to it, there's advocacy, there's capacity building, and you ladies are really doing a great work with regards to that. There's also issues around availability of products, which I think you've also played a key role in ensuring that the last mile communities are able to access these products, and we are not just focusing on the urban areas. It's been also interesting to hear about ensuring that it's not just us promoting building capacity and all that. We also need to ensure that there's behavioral change that we are also pushing, because there's a lot of cultural beliefs that are just stopping us from transitioning. There's a lot of attachment that we have with biomass use. And so the behavioral change campaigns are also very important. Yeah, so from this discussion, it's also evident that we need to have women in all these moving parts for us to be able to ensure inclusivity and ensure that the needs of women as the key players in the kitchen. Rosha has highlighted that there are women who are cooking, there are men who are also cooking, very true. It's not just women who are in the kitchen, there are also men in the kitchen, but the majority, if we're talking about the numbers and people who are being affected largely, it's the women. And so I think all these moving parts I've mentioned, the finance, the advocacy, the capacity building, all those moving parts, last mile entrepreneurs, we need women, and it's really, really fantastic that the people who are discussing this are women who are last mile distributors in one way or another, who are doing advocacy work. And so it was really, really important to hear your perspective with regards to this topic. And I hope everyone that has been part of this session has learned something and are excited of the work you guys are doing, and are also challenged to keep doing whatever they're doing in their various sectors, and also collaborate with you to ensure that the transition we are able to scale transition and ensure that by 2028, we are able to transition more people as you would like. These dialogues, we normally have them once a month, but for this month, we decided to bless us with 2 dialogues. So I would also like to say that next week, we're going to be having another dialogue that is also going to spotlight some of the usage and impacts that consumers have been able to experience with regards to using electric appliances. So we welcome you also to then join that session so that we keep having these conversations and see areas where we can build each other to ensure that transition is happening across the board and we're not leaving anyone behind. Otherwise, I think that is it from me. I'm really, really thankful, ladies, for coming and sharing these very useful insights. I hope everyone has learned something. And our energy has been revived, and we are all looking forward to ensuring that we are playing our part, because it's not a one-man's job. It needs all of us. And that's why we are advocating that the sector is really male-dominated, but we want women to help us push. You see the way these women are pushing in their areas of influence and the impact they've been able to make. So if you can imagine, if you bring 50 more women like them, the transition will be really very smooth. So I think it's been interesting to hear from you, and we thank everyone for joining today. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Great session.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.